these projects. So yesterday, the Sarai and I went down to the Health Sciences Center, and sounds like Sarah Kim has a good plan of getting together with Jill and so on, but it may be past the end of our time frame. And I wrote Dr. Bergeron and I wrote Dr. Eller, and he has responded to me. And actually, we have a former UTSA student that actually may have been pregnant when she was, because she has several kids, and she's seen him over a period of several years, and so it may well be. And I could just write her and say, hey, and put you guys in touch with each other and so on. Anyway, so, but Dr. Bergeron only had one client who was in the clinic and had coughed and abusive and whatever, and she said, do you think this would be acceptable? I don't know. So we'll need to continue to talk about at least the video aspect of what you were trying to do. How's it coming for you guys in terms of?
I have to delve into some books.
Delve into some books?
I got some major book work.
Yeah, so, we had a deadline down there for Monday of some kind of script. Well, but you're not doing videos per se. We're doing, and yours will have a video component to it, but you will have links to videos, and you might have links to videos of interviews or something like that. And maybe we'll have some links to a video or two. So the notion of a script is kind of out the window. But what we really are going to have, is a page. It will be an HTML page with content and maybe some links and so on.
Do they have that? Is that format already set up and you just put stuff into it? Because I don't know how to do HTML.
Nor do I. No. I think first of all, we need to just have the stuff. And have it like as PowerPoint or PDF, because it's pretty easy to convert, a PDF that's a static thing. It can be a link, and then boop, the PDF comes up, because you see that all the time. Click here for a resource on da, and you click and it's .pdf, and it's just a static thing. But the links within it might, they're hyperlinks, so that you click on that and it takes you to a site, which has the video loaded on it, a YouTube site or something like that. So, for Monday, do you think you can at least have an outline of, here's how I'm basically going to structure this, and here are, at least getting a running start on a bibliography list, even if you haven't read everything and annotated and so on. But, we're trying to provide resources for people. That's the bottom line. Dorothy has absolutely got this gold mine of stuff, because Tom Cleveland, who is at the Vanderbilt Voice Center and was one of Bernard's students, had a whole treasure trove of Bernard's stuff that he is in the process of donating to the University of Southern California, where a friend of mine is a pedagogy teacher. And anyway, and Dorothy's going to be going to Los Angeles in April. So anyway, that's really exciting what all's going on with that. And that's probably going to be something much bigger than just a thing for a class. But at any rate, so for Monday, just a kind of a outline, like, here's how I think I'm going to do this. And I think, with yours, TBA videos. Hey, Rachel, come on in. We have a chair for you.
It took me forever to find this.
Yeah, it's a secret, You can't come to school there
They're like,
unless
it's
you
hidden
can find
behind the trees. And I'm like, yeah, it really is.
Okay, so this is Rachel.
Hi, nice
Melissa.
to meet you.
It's going to get really confusing. Sarah. Sarah,
Okay,
Catherine.
I can handle that. I have a sister named Sarah, so.
Well, they sit together just to confuse strangers. So, anyway, we were just talking about a project that they're doing for class.
Cool.
So Monday, a little outlining kind of thing. These things are works in progress, and you know, some things are out of our control. Like, gee, they didn't have a lot of videos, or they probably do, but they don't have it coded such that they could pull them out. And getting into Jill's schedule, you know, or Dr. Dominguez's schedule, you know. You guys' things are a little more straightforward. So, Rachel's here auditioning tomorrow.
Yay.
What are you gonna sing?
I'm gonna sing Fair Robin.
That's a
Oh, okay.
great piece.
Yep.
It's a great piece. And several other things will be on the list.
Right.
But that's the one you know about.
That's the one I'm singing first. So.
Yeah, good. Well, today our big thing is and we have one more person in our class who attends via the magic of camera.
What?
She is a full-time school teacher, and she's doing a pedagogy certificate that we have.
Okay, cool.
And so we video record the classes. I put them on YouTube,
Oh.
and she watches the links. And then I meet with her once a week outside of class, and we kind of go over stuff. So,
Hi.
hi. We haven't said hi to Dorothy.
Hi,
Dorothy. Anyway, so today our little thing is we're doing some debates. Okay, so today it's a debate on repertoire, and I thought maybe since now we have an odd number, that on one thing you would be on one team, and then on the other one, then we'd switch
Okay.
so that you could be participating.
Okay.
Okay, so our first topic up for debate. Well, we should pick teams, right? All right, we need to split the Sarai up for
There's a
this.
start like we can do like we did last time too.
Yes. Okay, so here's the Red Sea. Yes,
Isn't
please.
that funny? All these biblical names on the Red Sea.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun stupid. But where do we get Melissa? That's not in the Bible.
Greek.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah, it's probably lots of wives and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so here's the Red Sea. So our first topic, and you will get a little chance to, develop your arguments, is the challenge piece for public performance. Okay? Challenge piece for public performance.
The sides are yay and nay.
You think it's a great idea, and you're going to figure out why.
Okay.
You guys think it's a horrible idea, and you're going to be coming up with arguments against this idea. Well, that's what makes this interesting, doesn't it? Okay? So you have a couple of minutes. You can, and of course, you have to be thinking, we'll have a little give and take there after you've kind of stated your case. Okay? So, go forth and argue.
I think it's a great idea because for one, it's like they're putting themselves out there. Because how are you going to challenge yourself without putting yourself out there? Right. And if it's a challenge piece, even right. It doesn't mean you don't need to do a public performance of it because like what if you do a bigger performance of it? And you need to be prepared.
Yeah.
Right? And
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
That's not a battle plan.
And the other thing is, everyone corrects my professor says.
Who's to say that they might have been a challenge before?
It might be a good experience.
should wait.
Yeah, you need to, it needs to be very organic,
Agility.
so that you don't
Yeah.
lose interest,
No,
that
no,
you
yeah, that
don't
you're not
hate it at the
discouraged.
end of it.
Right.
Okay.
Like it's their first time to sing a coloratura aria in front of all their
But you
friends.
still need
1
to do it.
minute?
That's
2
still
minutes?
a public
1 minute?
performance.
1 minute? Yeah, I can.
Well,
So we haven't really defined what challenging is on one thing. It could be a couple of things. I mean, certainly we're not going to send somebody out literally.
I think
trying
it
to
depends
think.
on
I mean, they'll say,
whether the student
Thanks.
what the student's level is.
if we don't.
Because if they're like beginning underground, then it's probably going to be like one little thing at a
Okay.
time.
Mhm.
And then they sort of get to the end of underground and it's like
You can-
a few things
You
at
can
a
still
time.
challenge yourself.
So it could be
Because
like,
you
okay,
don't
we're
wanna
dealing
challenge
with this,
yourself
we're
to
dealing
that
with
extreme.
airflow, we're dealing with flexibility of voice, all in one piece.
Yeah, so you,
But if the
you're always
challenge
challenging
was,
yourself,
for
you're
example,
always
musically
gearing up
like it's
to
it's
bring
broken.
that piece out.
That's something
True.
you
Yeah.
can do. It is a
time.
It is difficult.
Right.
But it's
if you have
doable.
learned it, it's
It's
not a
doable.
problem.
Yeah.
And you can perform a challenge piece because it was a challenge that you conquered.
Oh, and it shows
Okay.
that you have faith in your student.
Also,
When we're talking about public performance,
but what could they say?
what do we mean by public performance?
If they don't look and say, "I'm going to smash it
Um,
tonight."
What they're gonna say.
So,
They're
yeah.
gonna be like, I can't do this.
No, what's the
Student.
Oh,
where's
yeah.
the opposing team?
Big
They say,
Oh,
"I'm
what's
gonna smash it."
Right.
I thought you were saying what the student's gonna say. I was like, they're gonna be like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so you
Or,
smash it.
you
Or
know,
they're gonna be like, yay, I get to sing out with my heart out. They just,
they're
Or
gonna,
don't
there's,
use it.
there's a thing you don't want to say, it's just, you challenge yourself.
Agree.
Whether it's why is that you could,
yeah, so they're gonna say it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm done.
And we're gonna be like,
so maybe challenge.
well, no, yeah, they need to fail.
Yeah.
They need to fail.
It just hasn't been
Yeah,
challenging
because
they're
otherwise,
fail.
oh my gosh.
They're not
Ah.
explicit.
I think these two
Does
things
not equal fail.
really tie into,
That's just a flaw in the word strength.
Yeah, because if you say, well, no, that's not a great idea, then they're gonna feel like,
we have to take
like they're inadequate.
into account.
Since we're going all on this one side, I'm not saying that this is exactly what you're saying, but
But what's funny is that like when we do this in Germany, it's like to realize why there are parents.
All right,
Like true.
wrapping things up, yes,
Yes.
Ready to go? Okay. So you are the no team.
We are
You
the
are the
yes.
yes team. All right, so since they have 3 members and you have 2, you guys get to go first.
Okay.
Okay, argue against the challenge piece for public performance.
Okay, so when we talk about public performance, it all depends on if we're talking about like a studio, our weekly seminar, or your graduate recital. And with that,
You're doing it.
okay. So it depends on what type of public performance. Yes, we should challenge them, but we don't want to challenge them and set them up for failure, because if they go and they fall flat on their face, that could be the end of everything for them. I mean, that can be very discouraging, and we want to encourage them and promote growth and, you know, keep them going. So it kind of just, it depends on the time restraints. If we have 3 semesters coming, you know, leading up to your recital or some major performance, some public performance, then yeah, we can work on a challenging piece. But if they have a public performance that semester, no, they should not do that piece, because we're setting them up for failure, and that's not fair to them.
Any other arguments that you want to lay out?
Probably missed a big one.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm thinking
So, team yes.
All right, team yes. Team yes says you need to be challenged, and challenging does not equate failure. Just because something is challenging does not mean you're going to fail at it. You need to build those skills. What did we say? You could use these perform in smaller performances in order to prepare for a bigger one. But it is reason.
Having a plan for what to do if something does go wrong or doesn't go as well as you want to in a performance is a good skill to learn, and this is a good way to apply that.
Okay, any other things you wanted to say there?
We talked about, yeah, that if you fail, then it's gonna make you grow in different ways.
But the big word and the quantifying word there is if.
If.
You've got to go in with a positive attitude. Any
Oh,
performance,
it's right.
whether the piece is challenging or not, is an
I
opportunity for
remember.
failure.
We were saying that if the teacher gives them this challenging piece to perform out in public, it means that they have faith in them, and they're showing that they believe in them, and they're like, all right, and then so in a way, they're like helping themselves perform the piece because they already have that confidence behind it, because their teacher says that they can do it, so
You can rise
obviously
to this
they can do it.
Okay, so now they get a chance to rebut something, and then you will respond, and you get to challenge one of their things, and you get to respond. Okay? So, rebut away. Oh, she's giving her that skunk eye.
Me?
Yeah, you were kind of doing it. Giving the skunk eye. That's good.
I'm embracing knitter 3.
I think the confidence booster, like from the teacher giving them a challenging piece, can be a little tricky because it's our job as the teacher to give them something that we know that they can do in the amount of time we have. However, we have to be careful not to get overzealous as teachers, being like, oh yeah, they can handle it. Like, sure, their voice can handle it, but how soon? We have to be careful that we're not overzealous, because even if we're not trying to set them up for failure, every young student going out on stage is thinking about that one piece, that one spot in that one piece, regardless of what they think their teacher thinks of them. So we have to be very careful in that regard as teachers.
Okay,
Wait,
respond.
I have something. Am I not allowed to talk?
Wait, is there 2 rebuttals?
Save it for second
But
rebuttal.
okay.
Oh, but does it amplify?
It goes with hers.
Okay, all right.
So the whole believing in them thing is not necessarily true, because if you have a teacher that is a selfish teacher that is assigning rep based off of kind of like the whole standardized testing, teaching to the test, all that teacher cares about is winning competitions like NATs and things like that. They're teaching to the test. And all they care about, they're being selfish, and all they care about is assigning rep so you will win, so their name looks good.
Okay, so we've got a big rebuttal there. Okay.
Pretty passionate.
Response, and then you get to.
Our response to that, y'all talk about this time frame a lot. Yes, we've got to quantify all things with the time frame. I don't think that's exclusive to your side of the argument. Just because it's challenging doesn't mean it's done in an appropriate time. It's not done in an appropriate time frame, or that it's just because it's challenging doesn't mean it's not ready.
I think just because it's challenging doesn't mean that the student can't do it. You know what I mean?
And that's the teacher's job to make informed choices.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
same with that situation.
It's challenging, but it's doable.
It has to be smart choices.
Okay, do you have something?
Oh, to rebut.
Yes.
They were saying that we don't want to set them up for failure. I'd like to go ahead and go back in with the challenge does not equal failure. It's
They're
not,
going to fail.
you
We
can't,
can't always play safe.
Yeah.
and you can't put those things up against each other. It's
Yeah.
not fair to them.
Response?
A challenge doesn't mean failure,
We are right, we win.
but
There's strength in numbers.
but again, you have to be careful. You want to make sure that you expand on the things they are good at, challenging them in those things, and also bringing new things to the table, but not completely foreign things. this new skill we just learned. So it doesn't mean failure,
Yeah.
but that, you know, all skills have to be taken into account.
Okay, moderator.
Okay.
I got a critique, moderator.
It's debate over, but yeah, let's just talk. Let's talk.
Moderator, we need to define, we need to define this idea of challenge. What do
Yeah.
you mean? And then
Well-
also, is it a new challenge? Because those are important quantifiers. Is it new?
Absolutely. Absolutely. How do we define a challenge? Because there are all sorts of challenges, you know. You can have a technical challenge, a musical challenge, a expressive challenge, you know. This is going somewhere emotionally you've never had to go in a piece. You know, it could be stylistic stuff that you've never explored early music, and so, you know, that it is a challenge, but what do we define as a challenge? And then, as you guys raised, you know, what is public? And, you know, hopefully if we're doing our job as teachers, these two things we're weighing very carefully. We're weighing the challenges so that our student grows and feels more and more confident and empowered, and that they see, hey, they're right. I can do this. There is nothing more exciting as a singer, you know, that your teacher gives you a piece and you're looking like, I don't know. They say, trust me, let's hang with this, you know, and lo and behold, over 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, that piece becomes your bread and butter. You know, that's your piece you go into battle with, you know, and so the teacher picking that right piece, picking the challenges right for you, for where you are. I think the level of the student is a very important thing to consider here. Not, you know, because the more technically accomplished we get, the challenges become more subtle. You know, I've never done Poulenc. I've done Fauré, I've done Chausson, I've never done Poulenc and had to deal with odd poetry like that and tonality and so on. You know, and defining public. You know, very often you'll see opera singers, you know, really famous ones, and they will maybe try out an aria or something in a concert. And then they might do scenes, you know, on a concert. They might do excerpts, you know, with some colleagues of part of a role, you know, and then they might do a concert version, and then you see them, or they do a recording, and then they do the role on stage, you know, because, I mean, for example, you know, Pavarotti sang Nessun Dorma for years, several years, and he made the recording, and he only sang in 2 productions, I think, one in San Francisco and one in New York, and then he dropped the role.
But
Yeah.
bread and butter.
But bread and butter, my gosh, think of the money that man made off of singing Vincerò. I mean, I heard him sing it in person twice. It was fabulous. Yeah, and that's an amazing recording. But, you know, there are things that people do in recording studios they could not do on a stage. So, what's a challenge and what is public? And, you know, the public aspect too, for folks like us, you know, you might do that challenge piece that really tests your flexibility at church. Maybe it's an oratorio aria and you do it at church. Or, you know, you contact the local library that has a little concert series, you know, on Sunday afternoons, and, you know, you put together a recital with a colleague, and, you know, you try out that set that you and your teacher are considering for your recital that next year. And it's a safer audience, or you do it in studio class. So I think our job as teachers then is to weigh the challenge, weigh the cost, think about the level of the student, and think about how can we help them make that slow progress. And, you know, this question actually came up. I was going to use it today anyway, but it actually came up in my undergrad class on Tuesday, because a person asked, talking about their own experience of, well, last semester when I thought, okay, I'm going to have to be really tactful here, you know, because, I mean, it's one of my colleagues, and I don't want, you know, and I want to say things in an appropriate fashion, you know. So this is a question that keeps coming up. Probably you get more disagreements between voice teachers about what repertoire is appropriate than anything there is. Because we don't see each other teach, but we see people sing. And it's like, okay, that's so-and-so student, and
And
I
it's
don't,
easy to sit in the audience and go, that's not
yeah,
appropriate.
why are they giving him that piece? Yeah.
Right.
Why is she or he giving her that aria?
Mhm.
I don't understand.
We had a boy like that in at Baylor before you got there. At Baylor, when I was at Baylor, we had this older guy who came in for vocal music hour and sang Nessun Dorma, and I was like,
no.
you are a junior.
This is the Baylor mindset. We would have been like all over that.
Everyone in the audience was just like, he's singing.
Uh-huh.
And then all the younger students who haven't educated themselves
Look at it
yet,
and go,
like,
oh yeah, so I can sing that next week.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to sing that.
right. Oh, yeah. And you guys raised the question of the teacher's ego driving things.
Oh yeah.
You know, the teacher wanting to, you know, particularly if they have a talented student and they know that aria, if they can survive it, is going to win a competition, you know. And the teacher ego thing is a thing that comes up. It does come up. I sit at Take Summer Nats and I hear kids singing stuff and I'm thinking, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I know everything's big in Texas, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I just am not getting it. And some of it may be teacher ego, some of it may be that the
I know.
teacher is just genuinely not thinking through the challenges that they're throwing at that student. So our job then to not be like that is to find those right challenges. I'll tell you a brief story of how Barbara Dosher did it to me. So she wanted me to sing this Handel aria, Amor de Comando. Okay. And nice piece, and florid, and she wanted me to do it. I said, oh yeah, and I sat at the piano, you know, she gave it to me for the semester, and I sat at the piano, and I, you know, played through it, okay, you know, and I like bubbled through it, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And that's about as much as I did of it. Well, she asked me in a lesson, you know, about 3 weeks into the semester, so have you looked at Amor Comando? Yeah, I looked at it a little bit. She goes, well, I'd really like to hear that sometime soon, you know, okay.
Like next week.
Well, okay, so then at my next lesson, she said, so do you have a more commando with you? And I said, yeah. She says, good, can I hear how that's going? And my accompanist and I had not rehearsed it. So I said, sure. But I mean, my knowledge of Italian and my musicianship, and I had looked at it, but not really sang it. And we got through the first little section, and she came up to me, and she said, okay, I want to hear it again next week. Do you understand?
That's so scary.
Well, I was taller than her, but yeah, she was a formidable woman when crossed. And so next week I came in with it memorized.
Yeah.
Memorized. Now, let me tell you, I have sung that aria on job interviews because she was right. I needed a kick in the butt. You know, she wasn't going to let me perform it publicly until I had it really good. And I remember the first time I performed it in like our big seminar kind of thing. And I got home from school that day, and she had called and left me a message saying, thought that went really well today. I'm really happy that you've put in some good work on that piece. I'll see you on Monday.
No.
Click.
You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, okay. So that was challenge number 1. debate number one, excuse me. Point taken. Okay, here we go. Here's a really good one. Okay, so now you need to join Team Sarah because they're going to be together. So trade places with Catherine over here. All right, so we have Team Sarah and Rachel. Okay, so this one is kind of follows along the line of, we had the debate about your stock vocal leases. Okay, so you guys get to argue against. You guys are arguing for that. If I have a freshman baritone, by golly, at the end of that first year, they're doing this piece. And if they're a lyric soprano, their sophomore year, they've got this piece. That you have these pieces that you use.
Progress markers?
Well, they're pieces that you use all the time. If you're at this level and you're this voice type, that's your piece. It could be an art song. It could be an aria. Okay? So you guys are arguing in favor of that. You guys are arguing against.
It's like stock pieces?
Well, I mean, you could think of them as stock pieces, or you could think of them as kind of like you were talking about the compulsory figures thing, that all the figure skaters always have to do, these certain little patterns.
Oh, I see.
Okay? So that, at the sophomore level, if you're a bass, you've got,
You're gonna sing
this,
Okay.
you've got, you've got this piece. If you're
Oh, this is hard.
if you're a
Yes.
junior baritone, you've got this song. Okay?
No.
Okay. This is for a number of reasons. Because just because you're baritone,
Every bit of
doesn't
it.
mean that it's the same
Well,
type
I
of
can't.
We
bass.
have to figure out why.
Like, sure, there are bass baritones and lyric baritones,
Okay.
but even when they're young, you can't really tell. They're just like baritone. So they gotta sing some of the basic standard rock. But yeah, and there's gonna be certain people that are gonna get things faster than others, that are gonna be able to kind of move on a little bit.
Right.
But not everyone's gonna be that way.
Right. What do you say?
Because I'm against it.
Right, because
So age is one thing, but those experiences that are
right, and also for instance, soprano. Because soprano can be really problematic, right? Because there's so many different,
Like, if
and they think Brennan was starting out, I guess, because they don't know what they are. And so they're like, you're gonna sing this, this, and this. So and so has a really large voice, and then this other person
well, okay,
is
yeah.
So, it's not
has a tinier voice. It's like,
piece.
why would they
Right.
sing the same rep?
But like every,
By the
It
end of your
doesn't make
freshman
sense.
year,
It's like, why
everybody
would
will
we
have done
Yes.
waste our time on
if
paying
you're a
not going to sing?
Right.
if you're a tenor, that's your
So,
Or
so
why
the
would you
the
waste
senior
your
tenor is
time?
like, oh yeah.
I just
said, oh yeah,
I don't know, there's
When
this
I
girl
was
in my
a
studio
Right,
who
right. So
has
that's the
very,
idea.
very good
yeah,
voice.
but then they don't really think.
And sort of look at what she's singing versus what I sing and stuff, and it's completely
Why not?
different. I'm just just because their voice
Yeah, I like
type does not mean anything.
I know. You're like, no.
you have to individualize to the student. You have to
Yeah.
take into consideration
Right.
Fox, the age
Age,
level,
size of voice, font.
Of course, the Bach thing is nothing more than standard pieces for particular voice types, isn't it?
But so size of voice and age and their range,
Yeah.
what they can do,
Personality.
their
Yeah.
personality just makes everything better. Like you're more confident in your performing and singing.
Think about this from the standpoint of the teacher.
I do too.
It's very challenging on the one hand because you deal with a lot of them.
Right.
But on the other hand, think of how that makes you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Because you learn so much rep because you're not getting the same pieces.
Okay. So how the teacher grows.
I don't know.
Hey, are we getting close here?
No, we've got it, we're working our imaginary scenario of what the kids say to us.
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Okay.
Quickly, because we're
So-
closing out on time here.
Okay.
1 minute.
Maybe have an idea.
This is the teacher.
Right.
Brought up the teacher.
Good, all right.
Okay, you got that.
Yes.
one
Good,
down.
good,
Cool.
yes.
I know it's not set in stone, but yeah.
Okay, arguing the yes side, ladies.
Yes, okay. What do I say?
Pick one.
Okay. Okay. So, if you choose to take the stop rep approach, then as a teacher, you know all the music inside and out. You know everything about it. You know what challenges the music has, what can be used to, you know, move up and yes. Yes.
Quite. It can also introduce students to the Fox system, which is important, especially if the singer wants to sing professionally, and if you want to sing professionally overseas, which is where most of the jobs are. So you teach children about it. You teach them how to work within those FOC limitations. You teach them about how to manage themselves, so that they could go and get some of these books that have lists of stock repertoire, look at them and say, okay, I did this, and this in college, I can do the remainder of this list. Or maybe I could branch out into something that's not quite so far away from this. You give them just more knowledge of the business and of how to manage themselves.
Okay, anything else you want to add before?
Oh, and you can tie it into you could be individual with stock rep.
How would we do that?
You do it by to some extent, you use the Fox system to do that. It's hard to tell, of course, what a young freshman man is, but it gives you a place to start, and you can take his strengths that you may have already witnessed, and you can line them up with a list of strengths that are under a certain category, and then you can say, okay, your individual strengths are good for this right now, let's try this. And you can explore, and then as you start to learn more about their individual voice, you can bop them around into different sets.
Okay. Team no.
Team No thinks that it should be taken into consideration that each student, each person is an individual. They're all the same. They have different strengths and weaknesses, and it's our job to create a package of rep that best suits them, taking into consideration not only their age, but their level of experience and technique, which may be very different for, say, a freshman soprano who never took voice lessons in high school, but is talented, and a soprano who is also talented, but has been taking lessons since the dawn of time. Personality is very important. Timbre, size of voice, musicianship skills is also a really important factor, and not all of your students will be at the same level. Also, having more diverse rep for your students helps you to grow as a teacher and to learn more rep that is good for different students. Especially because taking into consideration that you're going to be teaching music ed students, music therapy students that are mostly going to be using their voice in kind of pop casual
instructional.
and things like of that nature. And I think that you'll find maybe that if you have more, if you stay away from some of like the stock pieces, that you won't pour audition panels or audiences.
That could be a double-edged sword.
They will
Yes,
stand
but also
out
at the
from the
same-
rest.
They will, but
But if they don't
sometimes
know the song,
that's right.
they don't know how to.
They don't know how to evaluate. Okay, so
True.
one rebuttal against him because of time. You get one shot. You get one shot.
That's where, yeah.
Yeah. So who's to say that you don't have a list for all these types of individual people? You're a teacher. You have, you've got lists for a young soprano who wants to sing Christina Aguilera all the time. You got a list for that. You pull that list out, you say, you could start with this. You could sing this. And then you move them up until they're singing Hurt. You know? It works like that. If you've got someone who wants to be Ella Fitzgerald, you got a list of that. And you've got someone with those capabilities, you can offer that to them and say, all right, let's start here and build your skills. So, and in many ways, you can take their own individuality into account with your stock pages.
No.
Okay, all right. One response to, not to what she said, but a rebuttal to,
A rebuttal
To our original argument?
yes.
Yeah. I think knowing the songs inside and out, their strengths and weaknesses, I think as on the voice teacher side, that's really limited. Going back to growing as a teacher, finding new rep and exploring new things for your student and yourself is more beneficial than relying on that piece is going to go to that singer because they are this level in school. I think that's very limiting on all accounts.
Think about it also from the perspective of the student. You know, if you have somebody who's been there 4 or 5 years, they're hearing those pieces come back. You know, or if there are two guys in the studio who are both
And the same.
Yes, and they both sing the same
and they've gotten the same piece, and that's awkward. So
Inappropriate.
well, all right.
Not to say
So
you don't have other choices
right,
that are on the list.
yeah. Well, magic list. She's got the list. So there are great strengths. You know, there are books of graded repertoire. You know, NAPS has a deal with the Royal Conservatory thing. You know, and they are graded lists. Chris Arneson has put out a book, and it's all about graded repertoire stuff. So there is something very, you know, also. Okay, so you drank like
Hydrated
half a
now.
bottle of one cup, and just like. Should we bring you a funnel next time?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pretzels, Coach.
Anyway, so there is some great strength, I think, in the fact that, you know, the graded repertoire and that you can draw from that. I think it gets awkward if, you know, you've been in the studio 4 years and, you know, this freshman baritone or whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, well, I know he's going to be singing whatever that aria is or whatever that song is because my teacher always gives it, you know, that gets a little old and so on.
I feel like at Baylor it was Come Ready and See Me. Literally every young mezzo in our studio sang that song.
Yeah, well, and, you know, but also from the teacher's perspective, the fact that you know those challenges inside and out and that you know, okay, this is something they need. This piece is really great for teaching legato in the middle voice. And I know everything about this song, and I've worked with it, and I know how to, you know, help people along with it. You know, it's easier as a teacher. I love the challenge of finding new pieces. I get bored with, you know, and I mean, there are some great go-to pieces. There are some really great
If
go-to
they're
pieces.
younger students and they don't sing at an extremely satisfying level to hear that over and over again, sometimes it ruins really great pieces.
See, but on that level, who's to say that you can't be expanding your list?
that is true. I remember
It doesn't
being,
take all research out of there or
Yeah.
all new
Yeah,
stuff
like,
out.
this is the
You can be
lyric
adding new
baritone
things
list,
to
this is
the
the
list
bass
over
baritone
years and years and
list.
years,
Well,
and then
that is
submit
true.
it for publishing,
that is
I
true.
know, I
Now,
which looks good for your university.
I remember, because as a TA at Colorado, we taught freshmen and sophomores. You know, I had 5 freshman voice majors in my studio, and I taught class voice. That was my assistantship, 5 students plus class voice. And I remember a young guy, he wasn't one of my students, he may have been one of Rob's students, I forget. And he sang Di Forella. And you know, the guy walks on stage and says, oh, I'd like to begin with Di Forella. And the opera director at the time says, oh, that old chestnut. And Tasha whipped around at him and said, not for this kid, it isn't. Because that's the first Schubert song that kid got to work on. You know, and it was exciting, and it's a wonderful song.
Yeah.
You know, and she was just like, not for this kid, it isn't.
Hush, she shut him up.
Then it's
Yes.
kind of Well, anyway, so these are things we have to think about as we start molding ourselves as teachers. What kind of teacher are you going to be? And understanding the strengths of both sides of these things, because there's some merit. Teachers wouldn't do, you know, have their stock pieces if there wasn't some merit to it. Teachers wouldn't pick lots of different rep if there wasn't some merit to it. Teachers wouldn't use the same vocalese, you know, if there wasn't some good purpose there that could be achieved.
If it ain't broke.
So, as teachers, we need to be open to the fact that there are other ways of doing things than my way that obviously get good results. You know, and just know, be an informed shopper in making your decisions about how you're going to run things. Now, you know, one other forced version of this is like the UIL list. You know, these are the pieces that you have to
So
draw from.
novel, yeah.
And some of them are very inappropriate.
Yes.
Yeah,
God.
and there it is. You know, all stay quiet. These are the pieces.
No.
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, lots to think about. I need to get your observations